On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Gilbert Gottfried, the unmistakably shrill-voiced comedian known for his fearless humor and boundary-pushing wit, died on April 12, 2022, at the age of 67. The cause was complications from myotonic dystrophy type 2, a rare genetic disorder that affects the muscles and other systems in the body. Though his death was the result of natural causes, it caught the public off guard, as Gottfried had largely kept his condition private. His sudden passing prompted a wave of tributes from comedians, fans, and entertainers who recognized his unique place in the world of comedy. Gottfried's career spanned over 4 decades, with memorable roles in films like Aladdin as the voice of Iago and Problem Child, as well as appearances on television and the stand-up circuit. He was known for his unapologetic approach to comedy, unfiltered, provocative, and often controversial. His death came during a time when comedy was undergoing significant cultural re-evaluation, with discussions around the limits of humor and the responsibility of comedians in an age of heightened social awareness. Gottfried, who had been both criticized and admired for his daring jokes, represented a fading era of comedians who prioritized the shock of the punchline over safe consensus. In the immediate aftermath of his death, tributes focused less on scandal and more on his kindness behind the scenes and his loyalty to fellow comedians. His passing reminded many that beneath his outrageous stage persona was a deeply respected artist devoted to his craft. It also reignited conversations about comedy as a form of resistance, catharsis, and truth-telling, even when it made audiences uncomfortable. Gottfried's legend, paradoxically, may have been amplified in death. His boldness now reads as a kind of comedic bravery, particularly in contrast to today's more self-censoring landscape. He is remembered not just for what he said, but for his commitment to the sacred chaos of comedy itself. We immortalize Gilbert Gottfried through recordings, animated characters, late-night clips, and above all, through laughter. His legacy invites us to consider how humor navigates mortality, how it softens grief, stirs reflection, and ensures memory never fades quietly. Georgia Engel, the soft-spoken actress best known for her role as Georgette Franklin on The Mary Tyler Moore Show, passed away on April 12, 2019, at the age of 70. Her death was attributed to unknown natural causes, as Engel, a Christian Scientist, reportedly did not consult with doctors due to her faith's beliefs regarding medical treatment. Her quiet exit from the world mirrored her gentle screen presence, unassuming, kind, and deeply principled. Engel's career thrived during a transformative period in American television. In the 1970s, The Mary Tyler Moore Show broke new ground by showcasing independent working women navigating modern life. Engel's character, while more traditionally feminine and reserved than the show's lead, added warmth and charm to a series that helped redefine gender roles on television. Her death, while not violent or dramatic, signified the gradual fading of a beloved era of sitcom storytelling that championed both humor and heart. The immediate response to Engel's passing was one of fond remembrance. Co-stars and fans alike reflected on her unique comedic timing and her genuine kindness off-screen. Her death didn't shift the course of entertainment history, but it did evoke a sense of nostalgia for a golden age of television where shows carried sincerity beneath their punchlines. In the larger cultural context, Engel's passing reminded audiences of the importance of character actors, those who may not always lead the spotlight, but whose contributions are essential to the emotional texture of storytelling. Her life and death quietly reflected the values of humility, spiritual conviction, and the power of gentleness in a world that often favors the bold. We continue to honor Georgia Engel through reruns, interviews, and tribute retrospectives. Her legacy lives on not through scandal or spectacle, but through the warm smiles she brought to millions. In commemorating figures like Engel, we're reminded that memory doesn't require grandeur. It only asks for truth, kindness, and an enduring connection. On April 12, 1945, President Franklin D. Roosevelt died suddenly of a cerebral hemorrhage in Warm Springs, Georgia. He was just 63 years old, but had been battling declining health for years, exacerbated by the immense strain of leading the United States through both the Great Depression and the vast challenges of World War II. Roosevelt's death came at a pivotal moment, just weeks before Nazi Germany's surrender, leaving the nation both stunned and uncertain about the path ahead. Roosevelt's passing was not only a personal tragedy, but also a geopolitical shock. As the only U.S. president elected to 4 terms, his leadership had become synonymous with stability in a time of global instability. The sudden transfer of power to Vice President Harry S. Truman raised concerns about continuity in international negotiations, particularly with Allied leaders like Churchill and Stalin. Truman, who had been largely excluded from Roosevelt's inner circle, was immediately thrust into the final stages of the war and soon faced the harrowing decision to use the atomic bomb against Japan. FDR's death amplified his legend, transforming him from a towering political figure into a near-mythical leader. His fireside chats, New Deal reforms, and wartime resolve had already embedded him in the American consciousness. His passing sealed his image as a savior during dark times. Monuments like the Franklin Delano Roosevelt Memorial in Washington, D.C., and his enduring presence in textbooks and documentaries reflect how his legacy is immortalized through both commemoration and critical debate. Roosevelt's death underscores humanity's deep yearning for strong leadership during crisis, and the fragility of that reliance. Mortality, even for the most powerful, humbles societies and forces a reckoning with both what has been accomplished and what remains unfinished. His departure reminds us that memory and legacy are shaped not only by deeds, but by the times in which leaders live and die. Sugar Ray Robinson, widely regarded as one of the greatest boxers in history, died on April 12, 1989, at the age of 67 from complications related to Alzheimer's disease and diabetes. His death was quiet compared to the roaring arenas that once echoed his name, but it poignantly reflected the long-term physical and mental tolls exacted by a brutal sport and a demanding era. Robinson's passing came at a time when the long-term effects of boxing, particularly neurological conditions like dementia pugilistica, were gaining recognition. The very sport that had brought him fame and fortune also contributed to his slow physical and cognitive decline. His condition underscored a broader societal reckoning with the hidden costs of athletic greatness, prompting discussions on brain injuries that would only intensify in the following decades. During his career, Robinson was more than a boxer. He was a symbol of Black excellence and resistance in a segregated America. Fighting in the 1940s and 1950s, he dazzled with footwork, speed, and charisma, compiling a career record of 173 wins. His death did not shift the political tides or halt movements, but it did solidify his legend. Posthumously, his legacy was revisited and celebrated more broadly. His pioneering of a fighter's control over his career, flashy persona, and advocacy for fighters' rights were recognized as groundbreaking. The consequences of his death were largely cultural rather than political. Tributes poured in, documentaries were made, and Robinson was immortalized in boxing halls of fame and popular memory. He became a prototype not only for athletes but for the modern celebrity, a figure who fused style with substance and transcended his field. Robinson's death highlights humanity's conflicted relationship with mortality and legacy. The body fades, but the image, the myth, endures. Through art, film, and collective memory, we seek to preserve the essence of figures like Robinson. Statues and stories serve as monuments, not just to achievements, but to struggles, resilience, and transformation. Anne Jackson, a celebrated American actress of stage and screen, died of natural causes on April 12, 2016, at the age of 90 in Manhattan, New York. Her passing marked the quiet conclusion of a life devoted to the theater, where she carved a space for women to lead with intelligence, wit, and emotional depth during a time when male dominance in the industry was the norm. Jackson's death, though not sudden or tragic, reflected a significant shift in the cultural landscape. Her era was one in which theater was a revered form of artistic and intellectual expression, a space where actors like her and her husband, Eli Wallach, became cultural icons not because of celebrity glamour, but because of their commitment to the craft. Her work on and off Broadway spanned decades, including standout performances in Middle of the Night and The Typists and the Tiger. And her collaborations with playwrights such as Tennessee Williams helped to elevate serious dramatic performance during the mid-20th century. The immediate consequence of Jackson's passing was a series of heartfelt remembrances from the theater community. She had been not only a performer but also a mentor and teacher at the HB Studio in New York, co-founded by her teacher, Herbert Berghoff. Her death marked the fading of a generation of performers who saw theater as both vocation and vehicle for cultural dialogue. While her passing did not shift the trajectory of global events, it amplified her legend within artistic circles and reaffirmed her role in shaping American theatrical traditions. Jackson's legacy endures through the students she taught, the performances she left behind, and the stories told about her artistry and partnership with Wallach. Her life and death highlight humanity's tendency to honor those who build quietly, steadily, and meaningfully without spectacle. In an age increasingly dominated by digital fame, Jackson's grounded, enduring presence reminds us of the value in a life lived authentically through art. Robert McNeil, the esteemed Canadian-American journalist and co-founder of PBS's NewsHour, passed away on April 12, 2024, at the age of 93 due to natural causes in New York City. His death marked the end of an era in broadcast journalism characterized by depth, impartiality, and a commitment to informing the public without sensationalism. McNeil's career was deeply intertwined with the transformative events of the 20th century. He first gained national recognition for his coverage of President John F. Kennedy's assassination in 1963, a moment that underscored the necessity for reliable and composed reporting during times of crisis. This experience highlighted the challenges journalists faced in an era when television was becoming the primary source of news for the public. In the 1970s, disillusioned with the increasing sensationalism in mainstream media, McNeil partnered with Jim Lehrer to create the Robert McNeil Report, which later evolved into the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour. This program was groundbreaking as the first hour-long evening news broadcast in the United States. setting a new standard for in-depth journalism. Their approach reflected the era's growing demand for comprehensive news coverage that delved beyond headlines into substantive analysis. The immediate aftermath of McNeil's passing saw an outpouring of tributes from colleagues, media institutions, and viewers who had long appreciated his dedication to journalistic integrity. His death prompted reflections on the current state of news media, emphasizing the enduring need for the thoughtful and measured reporting that McNeil championed. McNeil's legacy has been immortalized through various forms of commemoration. His contributions to journalism are studied in academic institutions, and his authored works, including The Story of English, continue to be referenced. Documentaries and retrospectives have been produced, highlighting his influence on broadcast journalism. The continued airing of PBS NewsHour serves as a living testament to his vision, embodying the principles he held dear. Reflecting on McNeil's life and death reveals humanity's complex relationship with mortality, power, and memory. His passing serves as a reminder of the impact one individual can have on an entire profession and the importance of preserving the values they stood for. In commemorating figures like McNeil, society not only honors their contributions, but also reinforces the standards they set, ensuring that their influence endures beyond their lifetime. Josephine Baker, the iconic African-American entertainer, French resistance agent, and civil rights activist, died of a cerebral hemorrhage on April 12, 1975, in Paris. She had just finished a triumphant comeback performance celebrating her 50-year career, attended by celebrities such as Sophia Loren and Diana Ross. The stroke occurred while she slept, and she never regained consciousness. Her passing marked the end of a dazzling and courageous life that spanned continents and broke countless barriers of race, gender, and art. Baker's death, though natural, symbolized the complexity of a life lived at the crossroads of glamour and activism. At a time when Black women in America were often marginalized, she found international stardom in France, captivating audiences with her performances in the 1920s and 30s. But behind the feathered costumes and stage lights stood a woman who smuggled messages for the French resistance during World War II, and who later became a vocal critic of American racism, even refusing to perform for segregated audiences. Her death in France, where she was honored as a national hero, reflected both the limitations and global transcendence of American racial politics during her era. The immediate reaction to her death was one of widespread mourning. France honored her with a full military funeral, the first ever accorded to an American woman. Her burial in Monaco further cemented her status as a transnational icon. Baker's passing did not so much shift history's course as it amplified her legend. In death, as in life, she stood as a testament to artistic excellence and moral courage. She became a symbol not only of the Jazz Age's exuberance, but also of 20th century resistance to tyranny and injustice. Her memory endures through countless biographies, documentaries, and artistic tributes. In 2021, she was posthumously inducted into France's Pantheon, a rare honor typically reserved for national heroes, a move that powerfully reasserted her influence in history and culture. Baker's death reminds us that mortality does not silence impact. We immortalize such figures not just through formal honors, but by continuing the fights they once led, reflecting humanity's deep yearning to preserve those who challenge the world and change it. Peter Haskell, best remembered for his roles in the 1960s and 1970s television dramas like Bracken's World and recurring parts on The Mary Tyler Moore Show and Days of Our Lives, died of natural causes on April 12, 2010, at the age of 75. While his death did not make international headlines, it offers a poignant lens into the nature of Hollywood's golden era of television and the quieter departures of those who helped shape it. Haskell passed away peacefully in Northridge, California. His death reflected a broader truth about his generation of actors, many of whom thrived in the rapidly evolving world of serialized television, yet often receded from public view as media landscapes shifted toward blockbusters and streaming platforms. Haskell, a Yale graduate with a gift for nuanced performances, embodied the refined, serious actor of mid-century American television, an era that emphasized drama, moral conflict, and domestic realism. The immediate consequence of Haskell's death was more personal than political or cultural, marked by tributes from fans and colleagues who remembered his professionalism and steady presence on screen. His passing didn't alter historical trajectories, but it did mark the gradual fading of a generation that bridged the old studio system and the modern entertainment industry. In many ways, his quiet exit contrasted the high-stakes fame machinery of contemporary celebrity culture, reminding us that not all influential figures make their impact through notoriety or spectacle. Haskell's legacy lives on in the subtle power of television storytelling during a transformative period in American culture. While he may not be as frequently commemorated as flashier contemporaries, his work remains accessible in reruns and archives, quietly influencing actors and writers who draw inspiration from television's rich, dramatic tradition. His death invites reflection on how we value artistic contribution and fame. Do we remember the quiet contributors as vividly as the trailblazers? Peter Haskell's life and death suggest that legacy isn't always about revolution. It's sometimes about quiet excellence, professionalism, and the timeless art of storytelling. Tim Brooke-Taylor, the esteemed British comedian and actor, passed away on April 12, 2020, at the age of 79 due to complications from COVID-19. His death occurred during the early months of the global pandemic, a period marked by uncertainty and a significant loss of life, particularly among older adults. Brooke-Taylor's passing underscored the vulnerability of even the most cherished public figures to the virus, highlighting the indiscriminate nature of the pandemic. Brooke-Taylor's career spanned over 5 decades, during which he became a household name through his work on television and radio. He was best known as a member of the comedy trio The Goodies, alongside Graham Garden and Bill Oddie. The Goodies television show, which aired from 1970 to 1982, was celebrated for its inventive and slapstick humor, capturing the spirit of British comedy during that era. Additionally, Brooke-Taylor was a long-standing panelist on the BBC Radio 4 show I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, further cementing his status as a beloved figure in British entertainment. The immediate aftermath of his death saw an outpouring of tributes from colleagues and fans alike. Graham Garden remembered him as a funny, sociable, generous man who was a delight to work with. Stephen Fry expressed that Brooke-Taylor's loss was devastating, reflecting the deep respect and affection held for him within the entertainment industry. These heartfelt tributes not only honored his professional achievements, but also highlighted his personal qualities, amplifying his legacy in the public consciousness. Brooke-Taylor's death during the COVID-19 pandemic serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the universal impact of global crises. It reflects how moments of collective hardship can bring renewed appreciation for cultural figures who have provided joy and comfort through their work. His passing also emphasizes the role of entertainers in shaping societal values and the collective memory of an era. The commemoration of Tim Brooke-Taylor's life and career continues through the enduring popularity of his work. Rebroadcasts of The Goodies and I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, along with numerous retrospectives, ensure that his contributions to comedy are not forgotten. This ongoing recognition illustrates humanity's desire to honor those who have significantly influenced culture and entertainment, preserving their memory through art and collective remembrance.